For as long as we have reported sightings of UFOs and cryptids, we have simultaneously been formulating theories as to where they come from. While there are more theories out there that seek to explain where these beings come from than I could possibly cover in one post, I've decided to spend a little time discussing one of the most popular, the interdimensional hypothesis. The interdimensional hypothesis is an idea advanced by ufologists such as Jacques Vallée that states that UFOs and related events of a paranormal nature involve visitations from other realities or dimensions. The idea proposes that these alternate realities exist separately yet parallel to our own. To many, the interdimensional hypothesis is viewed as an alternative to the popular extraterrestrial hypothesis. It should be noted, however, that it isn't necessarily an alternative to the extraterrestrial hypothesis, as the two hypotheses are not mutually exclusive, and both could be true simultaneously. According to Wikipedia, the interdimensional hypothesis also holds that UFOs are a modern manifestation of a phenomenon that has occurred throughout recorded human history, which in prior ages were ascribed to mythological or supernatural creatures. Although the extraterrestrial hypothesis has remained the most primary explanation for UFOs by ufologists, there have been many ufologists that have abandoned it in favor of the interdimensional hypothesis. Paranormal researcher Brad Steiger wrote, for example, that we are dealing with a multidimensional paraphysical phenomenon that is largely indigenous to planet Earth. An additional reason that so many ufologists have adopted the interdimensional hypothesis has been due to the fact that the distance between stars makes interstellar travel impractical using conventional means, and nobody had demonstrated an anti-gravity or faster-than-light travel hypothesis that could explain extraterrestrial machines. With the interdimensional hypothesis, it is unnecessary to explain any propulsion method, because this particular hypothesis holds that UFOs are not spacecraft, but rather devices that travel between different realities. Another advantage of the interdimensional hypothesis offered by Hilary Evans is its ability to explain a UFO's ability to appear and disappear from sight and radar in an instant. This is explained by the interdimensional hypothesis as the UFO entering and then exiting our dimension, or rather, materializing and then dematerializing. Evans also argues that if the other dimension is slightly more advanced than our own, or is perhaps our own future, this would explain why UFOs' tendency to represent near-future technologies, such as airships in the 1890s or rockets in the 1940s. In discussing the interdimensional hypothesis, we must also discuss the fact that, according to the theory, the UFOs that we see in the sky all over the world may in fact be us. That is to say, a future version of us who has mastered the landscape of time and space, able to bend them to their will. If this theory were true, then the stories of people coming into contact with strange beings represent our distant human descendants, returning from their own time to study us as a part of their evolutionary past. This idea has been advanced before. However, a more recent book entitled Identified Flying Objects, a multidisciplinary scientific approach to the UFO phenomenon, takes a fresher look at this idea and offers some thought-provoking arguments. This book, written by Michael Masters, a professor of biological anthropology at Montana Technological University in Butte, presents Masters' idea that given the accelerating pace of change in fields such as engineering, science, and technology, it is very likely that humans from the distant future could develop both the machinery and knowledge necessary in order to go back in time. Masters says that the objective of his book is to inspire a new and more informed discussion about the interdimensional hypothesis amongst believers and skeptics alike. I took a multidisciplinary approach in order to try and understand the oddities of this phenomenon. Our job as scientists is to ask big questions and try to find answers to unknown questions. There's something going on here, and we should be having a conversation about this. We should be at the forefront of trying to find out what it is. Michael Masters. In the book, Masters dubs these visitors from the distant future as extraterrestrials, noting that close encounter reports typically describe these interdimensional beings as hairless, bipedal, human-esque beings with large eyes, large brains, small noses, and small mouths. Masters states that these creatures are also often said to have the ability to communicate with us in our own languages and technologies that, while far advanced, seem to be built upon the technological prowess of today's times. But why not argue that aliens are actually a traveler from across the vastness of space, from a distant planet. To this, Masters says, I would argue it's the opposite. We know we're here. We know humans exist. We know that we've had a long evolutionary history on this planet. And we know our technology is going to be more advanced in the future. I think the simplest explanation, innately, is that it is us. I'm just trying to offer what is likely the most parsimonious explanation. While there are many that find something interesting to be said about the interdimensional theory and the claims of Michael Masters, there seem to be just as many that find his claims dubious at best. One such skeptic is Robert Schieffer, a noted UFO skeptic. There is nothing in this book to take seriously, as it depends on the belief that time travel is not only possible, but real, said Robert Schieffer. Further, Schieffer believes that Masters' explanation for interdimensional beings that are a version of us from the distant future is a huge claim to make, saying, so, according to Masters, you just spin something fast enough, and it will begin to warp space, and even send stuff backwards in time. This is a highly dubious claim. So what do you think about the interdimensional hypothesis? Is it possible that UFOs and aliens are in fact just a version of us from the future? Is it possible that they are our descendants coming back to visit us, and that their journey to our world is motivated by a sort of archaeological tourism, in which they hope to learn more about their evolutionary roots? Or, as Robert Schieffer believes, do you think this theory has little evidence behind it? Is it nothing more than frivolous claims based on the wild imaginings of ufologists? I'd be interested to hear what you think about the interdimensional hypothesis. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe.